the industry? Has it been a challenge for you? Is there any advice you would give to anybody watching
Sure.
right now on that part of your life?
Well, it's like so many people. I mean, I'm a road warrior. I've been in this business 30 years, and in various sectors of the industry, I started dating. So I quit my job, moved to Boston, and the rest is history. And no, not completely, but I worked on boats. I was a crew on boats for nearly a decade, and I was a chef on boats. And my mom's like, "What do you know about being a chef?" And I'm like, "I can read," and figured it out. It was a way different industry back in the 80s. And but it was a lot of fun, and you got to learn, and you got to really get to know each other. There wasn't cell phones on boats. They didn't have Wi-Fi. We worked off sat phones whenever you could beg the captain to let you spend that $15 a minute to make a phone call home for Christmas. And then I did spend 8 or 9 years with the Marine Industries Association of South Florida. I worked there. I ran the Fort Lauderdale billfish tournament. I've started fishing tournaments in Costa Rica. And so I've kind of been in all different sectors of the industry. But it's really, I've had my own company for more than 20 years and focusing on marketing and promoting this segment of industry, which is yachting and boating. And it's really unique and different, even though we still sell stuff and we still do stuff. It's not like selling widgets. And I can tell you, it's a whole lot more fun. So it's been, 10 years ago, they kind of tapped me on the shoulder to kind of take on the reins of USSA. And I'm happy to say in that time, we've grown to over 400 members. We have international presence at shows like the Mets Trade in Amsterdam, the Monaco show, a very large pavilion at the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. We will be in Palm Beach in May if they do go forward with that show. And I'm really excited about the fact that we have a very engaged board and very engaged members that step up and make things happen when we need them to.
So I often see you when I'm at any boat show or whatever, you're always around and you're there promoting and advocating for USSA. The place that I most remember, though, you being, and it seemed like there was a real change being affected, was when I saw you a few years ago at the ABC up in DC. Can you tell us what ABC is and why associations like EBA that I'm really involved with, or the MISF, the NMMA, USSA, it seems like all these kind of look like maybe competing interests, competing associations all come together and hit DC every single, I think it's April, which has been, of course, canceled this year. But what happens there, and what are you guys up to as an association when you go knocking on the doors of a senator?
Well, it's the American Boating Congress is that part of the alphabet soup. And it really is an opportunity for all of our industries to work together. And it's everything from the NMMA, the National Marine Manufacturers, the Marine Retailers Associations, the Marine Electronics Associations, and all of the other associations regionally, nationally, state. And it, as Phil mentioned on the previous segment, you can't just go to Washington when you need something, because they're kind of like, who are you? And, you're only here with your hand out. So having that opportunity at least once a year for some associations like ours. I mean, our association, we don't own a boat show, so we don't have that massive income stream that gives those organizations the power and the ability to hire lobbyists and to hire people to be constantly selling that message, which is so important. And it's great that they work with us, the rest of us red-haired stepchildren out there, and so that we can all kind of get our voice there. So we all come to Washington. That's typically been in May, and unfortunately, like so many other things, has been canceled for this year. We are planning to do some limited fly-in type activities in the fall, but it's an important opportunity for us to go and educate the different members of Congress. This past year, even though it was not a huge election time, there were new members of Congress, that it's time to educate the importance, the economic impact of our industry across all sectors, and that our business is really about jobs, and it's about high-paying, high-skilled labor jobs, and that they're important. It's not just a bunch of rich guys on their boats, sitting out there. It's the 2%.
Yeah, it kind of breaks my heart sometimes when I hear people talk about this idea of like if there is something bad that happens to a shipyard or a boat, sort of the public will mock that thing and say, "Oh, poor who rich dude
Right.
just had their boat something bad happens, sink or get damaged, or a shipyard shuts down." What they don't understand is the thousands of people that are affected by an event like that are living paycheck to paycheck, that are normal people that have a 2-bedroom house that are providing for their family, that are directly impacted by that quote unquote evil rich guy that had some type of misfortune.
Yeah, it's really a shame because that evil rich guy keeps so many people employed. I've actually even sat in congressional offices where I've had them say, "You have to change the name of your association. I can't get behind something that says super yacht."
Right.
And trying to be sensitive to that. I mean, in all of our material, we don't generally show pictures of boats. We generally, if we do, there's a thing here. Wait, which way is it? It's backwards. Right behind me here. That's one of our campaigns is about the Refit America program, and it is really all about promoting jobs. So we showcase the workers. We showcase the steel workers and the welders and the painters and the families that are impacted by that. And so that's really been our message, and it's been a powerful one. It allowed us to really push through an initiative 2 years ago to establish a U.S. large yacht flag registry, which, believe it or not, as one of the largest, I mean, the American owner is the most important owner in the world, with the most number of them owning super yachts. We didn't have a registry. If I wanted to put an American flag on the back of my boat, I couldn't. I could, but it would have been like an act of Congress and some other crazy stuff. So we've started that process, and we're pushing those regulations through right now.
Very cool. That's all really meaningful stuff. This is the kind of like quote unquote boring association stuff that really matters and makes a big impact on blue collar, white collar guys in the industry that just have real jobs in the thick of this. Kitty, thank you very much. I have one last question for you, and then Andrew Parkinson, the Passage Maker, is coming on. I know you and a few of your friends got together and did some cool fundraising things for the victims of Hurricane Dorian. And I think Lee Savage kind of filmed it, and you guys did a music video. You raised a few bucks. One of the neat things that came out of that was that people in the industry got to see people with musical talents like yourself come together and do something neat. The rumor, though, is that Jeff Parton was just a really bad musician overall and brought the whole thing down to his level. Is that true?
Well, what happens in the studio, Bob, stays in the studio, because there was a lot of tequila involved that particular night. And but it was a lot of fun, and just so many talented musicians in our industry. I think we definitely have to do a We Are the World kind of musical tribute. So, but thank you, Bob, for everything that you are doing to get the word out and keep our industry moving forward in a unique and interesting way. And you guys and your team are always so forward thinking, and appreciate everything you do for all of us.
Thank you very, very much. And that is going to be a perfect transition time where I get to thank the people that actually pulled this off. So I'm going to do that right now. First, I'm going to kick you off. Thank you, Kitty. Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye. Stay safe.
Andrew Parkinson, Passage Maker. How are you?
Hey, Bob. I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
You've got to put the camera on. You're probably the fourth most handsome guy we got on the show today.
Is the camera not on?
Nope.
Oh, no. What did I do wrong?
Oh, my gosh. All right. So while you do that, while you figure out how the internet works, I'm going to thank these people right here. Every one of these people, I'm actually going to get probably, way more credit than I deserve for just sitting up here and talking for eight hours. But the people, hi, Andrew.
Hey, Bob, I'm back.
Can I just pause our interview for a second to thank some people? Would that be okay with you?
I think that'd be much better than what we're going to talk about. Yeah, you absolutely should, man.
So these guys right here, I'm going to point them out. This is Mark Anthony. That's Cassidy. This is Andy. That's Ben. Look at that freaking headshot right there. He's single, kind of. This is Lauren right here. Andre, Megan, Josh, Rick have all put this thing on and have worked day and night to put all these pieces together and to make this thing as close to a virtual boat show as we could pull off in a short amount of time. And they are so incredibly talented. And this doesn't happen without them. I hope I'm nice enough and kind enough to thank them like at least a few more times throughout the day, but they've just been like heroes of mine. So not getting a lot of sleep, working together remotely, it's been awesome. So sorry to steal some of your time, Andrew, but life's not all about you.
No worries, man. Hey, I was just going to say, I've been tuning in several times throughout the day today, and what you guys have put together is just really top notch. So, commendations to all of you and your team. So congrats. It's really good job.
Thank you very, 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 very much. We're going to talk about Passage Maker in a second, and we're going to talk about Trawler Fest in a second. But I first have to give some people some context here. So, Andrew, I've known you for how many years? Is it like 12 years?
I think it's got to be right about 12 years, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, so you used to be a yacht broker.
I did.
Now you're not. You're with Passage Maker. You used to be a yacht broker, and you were with us. So you were one of those guys we were excited about. One of the challenges as a business owner, and it's not just me, one of the challenges for any yacht brokerage company is to find good, talented, smart, young, new people. And you were one of those guys. And I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. It's going to work out well. We got along. We were friends. And then one day you came into my office and said, screw you, Bob. I'm leaving here, and I'm going to go be a journalist or an editor or whatever the hell it is you called yourself at the time. And I was like, what? Andrew, why'd you? And you went to a place, a local publication called Southern Boating, which I love. And I found out later that you actually were recruited to get the job at my own damn wedding. Is that true?
Well, that was our second conversation.
Okay.
That's where we sort of really sealed the deal. The first part was, oddly enough, we were sitting at Marina Bay. We were having lunch after being on a sea trial for one of the new Benetos that we brought in.
And by they, this is Liz Pash.
Yeah, well, she wasn't actually there. She was the editor-in-chief of Southern Boating at the time. But her husband, Juan, who used to also work for Denison, and a guy by the name of Alex Wilkes and a couple of other key individuals, Team Beneteau days. We were sitting around the lunch table, and Juan gets a phone call from, I guess it's his wife, and they're talking this, that, and the other. And finally, he looks around the table, phone to his chest, and says, "Hey, anyone know anyone that wants to be a managing editor of a magazine?" Ha ha ha. And we all laughed about it at first, but then I thought about it later that night, and I'm thinking, man, this is what I went to school for. Like, I've never really put my degree to work, and I know about boats now because of my yacht broker experience. I love to write. I've been dying to turn that leaf. So I called him up the next day. I said, is Liz serious? And he's like, well, kind of, yeah. And I said, well, let me apply. And unbeknownst to you at the time, I had a chat with Liz, and things worked out. And yeah, that might have been at your wedding. Sorry, Bob, but it was a great wedding. I mean, I didn't want to
let that not like just slide by here. I'm actually most important day of my life. I'm up there about to get married. I'm inviting my closest friends to come together and celebrate the occasion. And I have a bastard go behind my back and interview for a job, and I think accept it during the ceremony.
The handshake was actually right there when you were saying "I do." Yeah.
But we're somehow still friends, which is cool. As you can tell,
we might have said "I do" at the same time, actually.
Disgusting.
Anyway, but yes, we're still friends, Bob, and I'm glad about that. So yeah.
And you went you went from Southern Boating, where you spent some time, and we both loved that magazine a lot.
Yes.
At some point, you made a transition to Passage Maker, which I love. I love anything, whether it's a company or a publication or a website, that kind of focuses on something niche and just like attacks it. And their identity is like easy to talk about. It's easy to touch and smell. When you pick up a Passage Maker, you're going to be talking about trawlers and expedition boats and explorers. And you seem like the perfect guy for that. So how is it going in the trawler world right now? And talk a little bit about Trawler Fest, which is a trawler-specific boat show. And I know you guys, I think, are canceling or postponing or rescheduling some shows. Just give us an opportunity to let us know what's going on. Passage Maker Trawler Fest.
Perfect. Okay. So Passage Maker, I was thrilled to be offered the opportunity to take the helm there. This was about a year and a half ago. Before that, I was at Yachts International for a spell. And when I came on to Passage Maker, just these guys are so in tune with their boats. They're so in touch with their passion for being on the water. And that was what was so cool about this job is, suddenly we're writing, coming up with content for these people that in many cases, I'll admit, they know a hell of a lot more about their boats than I did, coming into this. So I'm learning from them. I feel like I know how to put good magazines together. They're educating me on what we're writing about all the time. And that's really refreshing, and that's really cool. So passage maker, go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, and sort of humbling. It's tempting in our industry, whether you're a journalist or an editor or a broker, to pretend like you know stuff you don't, so you don't look stupid. And it's a challenge because in our industry, you have so many people that are so enthusiastic about one type of boat, whether it's a trawler or a sailboat or a catamaran or a super yacht, that many times they may know a few things about that boat that you don't know. The temptation is to act like you do, and that only sets yourself up to look like an idiot, right?
Exactly, yeah. And you know, one of my mentors, Kenny Wooten from Yachts International, taught me probably one of the most valuable lessons in my career, and that is the value of humility. You know, never assume that you know more than the next person, and because in many cases that's just not true. And we're all learning here, and we all share the same passion for this. And for me to assume that I know more than someone else, XYZ boater, about how they like to spend their time on the water, that's just wrong. So it's a total learning experience, and talking about learning experiences is a good transition to Trawler Fest, I guess.
Nice.
Thank you. We do 3 of these shows throughout the year. They're highly attended. Everyone that comes to these things, we've got, so each Trawler Fest is 2 sides. It's a seminar series, and it's also a live in-water boat show. And you know, you'll be walking down the docket if you've never been to one of these. It's just, you know, usually between 30 and 50 boats, depending on the location. And they're all trawlers. They're all long-range cruisers. And you just get that tight-knit niche, like you said, community together. And it's all these like-minded people that they cruise together. They share the same values, share the same passion for, you know, what they do and how they use their boats. And that's so cool. It's a great boat show, not like spread so wide as a Miami or Fort Lauderdale show. But it's just very niche. And yes, so long story short, we have 3 of those a year. Our next one was supposed to be Seattle, which was going to be April.
Seattle is one. Where's the other? Up in Annapolis, right?
Baltimore.
Close enough. But you had the opportunity to make you look smart, and you failed. The third one is in Stewart?
Yes, third one's in Stewart. We just had that one in January.
Okay, cool. And so the one in Seattle was coming up. We have an office in Seattle. Plug for Denison. And we talked to you guys, and you're rescheduling it for when?
Correct. So the Seattle Trawler Fest, he's
looking it up. He doesn't know. He's looking it up.
Just announced the dates. I don't want to get it wrong. Come on, Outlook.
Gary DeSanctis is freaking pissed right now.
Here we go.
I'm just going to make it up. I think it's July 9th. Let's just say that. I didn't think you guys set dates yet, by the way. By the way, I'm starving. I'm like almost shaking how hungry I am, and I have a salad sitting here, and I want to eat it so bad, but I don't want to eat for other people, so we're gonna have to figure this. Go ahead. Good start on the diet while you were.
Yeah, Trawler Fest Seattle. We're exploring in November.
Okay, cool.
Towards the beginning of November, just after the Fort Lauderdale show.
Okay.
And Trawler Fest. Excuse me. Let's see here. So Trawler Fest Baltimore is official, and that is September 22nd through 26th.
Okay,
so
cool.
We're gonna have two fall Trawler Fest this year.
I love it. And before you go, because we got a few minutes, you are married to a woman named Carrie.
Yes.
You have children.
Correct. Correct. I've got 3 kids. Yep.
How is life in Fort Lauderdale right now in the midst of all this? Are you guys are you really working from home? Do you have cabin fever? Like, what is going on? Are you guys getting along? Do you at any point during the day want to, like, I don't know, just yell and scream at them, or are you doing okay?
So my wife and I both work full time, and we're both here at home. Our company's allowed us to work from home, which is great. So we're here with the 3 kids, and it's 3 boys under 6 years old, and it's an interesting vibe. It's become our new normal, but the key is scheduling and just regiment. So every hour we've got them doing kind of a different activity, and anything from creative time, academic time, outside time. Every day at 4, we kind of break and go outside and do the loop together. It's been really cool, but the coolest part of all of this has just been, when you're in the work cycle, you're in the, the workaday routine, you really don't have those special moments with your kids. You come home from work and it's like a second job. You got to get the kids fed, to bed, all that, so you can sleep and get ready for the next day. It's been a different vibe. We're getting to spend some really quality time with the kids, and it just feels great. I mean, at the end of the day, now we're talking about what Sawyer did that was so cute at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, instead of just being on our phones and.
His oldest son's name is Sawyer. How cool is that? It's awesome.
Oldest is Sawyer. Plug. Yep. So no, it's been definitely an adjustment for all of us. But in some ways, you got to look at the positive. It's we're getting to spend more family time, and that's what really all this stuff is all about. So
yeah, well,
cool.
you and Gary are sort of. I had Stephen Chapman on before, who's with DuPont Registry. Him and his wife Stephanie are much like you guys, where you're like the perfect family. You always have nice things to say. Even there, I was like trying to lead you up to some kind of like mean moment to be funny, and you couldn't do it just because you're so perfect. The Parkinsons are so perfect, actually. Then the local mall here at the Galleria, and I don't think it's thank God. But every time I go in the Galleria Mall, there was a family portrait of Andrew and Carrie, kind of like black and white, perfect model thing, and it doesn't get more annoying than that. So congratulations on being handsome and pretty enough to be the portrait that place decided was the one worth hanging up in the middle of the mall.
How did I know this conversation was going to deteriorate like this? Oh my goodness.
Thank you very, very much. Hold on really quick. So you have Sawyer is the oldest. What are the other two boys' names again?
Yeah, so Sawyer is 6, Charlie is 4, and little Zachary is 2.
That's awesome. I love it. And all kidding aside, you guys are seriously such a special family, and I really, really appreciate you coming on. I'm a huge fan of the magazine. Love Trawler Fest, and good luck to you guys as we all come out of this together. Okay.
Thank you, Bob. You too. Best to your family.
Bye, Andrew. I am now going to be bringing on Dawn, who I cannot find on here. Oh, there she is. Hi, Dawn. I'm going to make you a co-host here. You're going to hit a green button, I think, and then you're going to hit a blue video camera at the top, and I hope we get to see you live from New York. And I believe you're at Oak Cliff right now, which is kind of cool. I'll let you tell everybody what Oak Cliff is. Perfect transition. Andrew, see you later, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Don, hi. If you're having trouble with the video camera, you're not alone. This is a new weird. Hello. I can't hear you. This is the first time we've not been able to hear somebody but see them. And by the way, I think somebody told me I called Andrew Parkinson Andrew High. If I did that, it's only because I'm looking at Andrew High's name here, which is right next to Don's. Let me see. Don, do you see there's a little microphone that's right next to that white camera? And if you click that, it might help out. Worst case, I'm going to jump on the phone and we'll do like a phone interview while you're there type of a thing. Does that sound cool? But let's try a few more things, and then we will, if we resort to that, we will, I've got your number right here, which is a 415.
Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay.
That is it.
I found yet another setting.
Good. Yeah, there's a lot of settings on this thing. It's unbelievable how much time it took us to find like the right platform for something like this. And it's a new platform for us, and I think a new platform for you. So thanks for being really cooperative with this as we figured it out together. Hi.
Hello.
We've never met before. You're one of the only people on this that I've never met before, and I am excited to meet you.
I've noticed that you've known everybody that's been on the call quite well.
Yeah, I'm going to act like we're old friends, even if we're not. Yeah, and we're just going to kind of wing it. I'm going to ask you about like where you're at right now. We talked about it briefly the other day. I want to know like what's happening at Oak Cliff. Where is Oak Cliff? Like sailing people definitely know what Oak Cliff is. Other sailing people don't know what it is. If you could tell us what that's about, and you have to tell us about your America's Cup experience, like the whole thing. But we're going to first start just giving a plug to Oak Cliff. Tell us what it is and tell us what you do there.
So Oak Cliff Sailing is a training and coaching center for athletes who want to be professionals in the America's Cup, round the world, Olympics, or be professionals in the marine industry. So we're really multifaceted, but we train people to be boat captains, project managers, sail-offs, run sail-offs. Our tagline is building American leaders through sailing. So that encompasses everything.
And
we're located in Oyster Bay, New York.
And that's so it's of course very sailing specific. And how long has it been around for?
Well, actually, we were supposed to be on Saturday having our first fundraising event to celebrate 10 years of existence. That has become a virtual art show now. And we're doing a lot of virtual. We have our match racing seminar on Sunday with Chris Kennedy, who's a graduate who now works at Melgis Boat Works in Wisconsin. So we're using Zoom to do a seminar there.
That's awesome. By the way, Jeff Eklund says hi. I just
Of course he does.
you guys know each other, and I thought that was really cool. He is one of those like very interesting people who walks into a room and you're like, damn it, just when I thought I was the coolest guy in the room, that bastard walks in.
I'm sure he loves you saying that.
Yeah, he does, for sure. So quickly, 10 years, you're going to fundraise. I have to help plug that. If there's anybody on here that's interested in raising money for something like Oak Cliff, where would they go? How do they get involved? And how can they throw money at you?
Well, the website is oakcliffsailing.org. Super simple. On there, I was just thinking, we're not going to be able to do a virtual tour here in 15 minutes, but if you go to about oakcliffsailing.org, you'll see a virtual tour. It's really cool. It's 3D. We have bunkhouses. We have a boat shop behind me. We have dormitories upstairs. We have a high-performance beach for our Olympic classes boats, a clubhouse. And one thing that we've been super lucky on is that we started team isolating about 16 days ago. So we are still fully operational. We call it protect the bubble. So if anybody leaves, they have to come back in and sanitize before they come back in. And we have our own, each person has their own respirator and a pair of gloves at least.
So can you tell us when I think of it, it's a huge program. There's people living there, right?
Yes. So we have 10 of us on site. Actually, that's not true. 2 are working from home, but I live alone, and I come into the bubble and out. I don't stop in between my house, and everybody else lives on site and works on site. And it's been amazing because we've been able to keep busy and be able to get the moorings ready. And we have 102 boats. So if we weren't working, we wouldn't have the boats in when this all gets lifted.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges because, I'm one of those people where I'm, and it's not just in our industry, in any industry, you're kind of fighting for your life right now. Things are weird. It's not expected. As much as I thought we were planning for whatever, some kind of eventual economic downturn, I wasn't planning for this. Right. And I'm trying to figure out, and as you described, it's a great example of how do you socially responsible and how do you be socially responsible and you follow the rules, but you're still able to be productive. You're still able to provide value for clients. You're still able to take care of the people that you work with. And it sounds like you guys are doing exactly that, because in real life, when this thing goes away, people are going to be coming to you and they're going to need to make sure that you guys have done the things that you said and promised you were going to do to get them in a place to use the boats, right?
Right. And what's so exciting here is that everybody who's working here has also trained here. So we've hired, other than myself, we've hired all graduates. So they are innovative, quick thinking, creative, and we just sit around and we start talking about what can we do. For instance, the Bermuda race is canceled. We already have all of the safety equipment, all of the life rafts. We're going to send 105 people. So as we're talking, we're like, well, we might be able to just race against ourselves to Bermuda in August. Why not? And so that's exciting to be able to deal with the challenges. And also, honestly, they're just a lot of fun people that like to hang out together.
Yeah, that's a cool thing that we have too. Is it's weird when you think about it, but oftentimes you spend more time with the people you work with than the people that you live with, or your family or whatever. And when you get to work with cool people, it makes life just that much richer,
Yep.
All right, I got to ask you a question, and I'm hoping this isn't very annoying, but I'm going to ask you anyway because you were featured in this movie that just came out, and it must be one of those things since the movie that you get asked a lot. And I want to find out, first of all, the process of the movie being made, the whole thing. What was that like for you? The movie, I'm going to tell you guys quickly, and then you can expand on it. The movie is called Maiden, and it was the story of the first all-female team that was put together. If you could describe what that was like in real life and what the movie making process, what that looked and felt like, and did you feel good about it when you saw the final result?
Well, the funny thing is that first of all, the movie Maiden, first all female team, I was thinking it was funny is that I was in Fort Lauderdale when I got the call that there was going to be an all women's team. And I was already working as a professional. I was sailing on maxi boats. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go sail with a bunch of girls. Back then we still called ourselves girls instead of women. Most of the footage, actually all of the onboard footage was from the race. So that was really cool. So the only participation we had.
Sorry, hold on. Tell, when you say the race, what race are you talking about?
Oh, the 1989-90 Whip Red Round the World race.
Right. And so some people, Whitbread is just because there's some people on here that just don't understand about sailing, is a literal around the world race.
I know. I love it when people say, "Where does the Whitbread around the world race go?" I'm like, around the world.
Right.
So
just to expand on that a little bit, what in the hell are you thinking when you decide you're going to go around the world on a sailboat, and what does that voyage look like?
So back then, I did it in 89, 90, and 93, 94. I was the watch captain, diver, and engineer on the first one, the skipper on the second one. And that year we went, or those 2 years, we went from England down to Punta del Este, Uruguay, and then we turned left and we went under Africa, didn't stop, to Australia, Perth, down around Tasmania, up over the top to Auckland, New Zealand, then back to Punta del Este, then up to Fort Lauderdale for the first time that the race stopped in America, and then over to England. So 33,000 miles, 9 months, 12 women on board. And it's probably not giving anything away. We did okay.
Yeah, that's sort of the neat thing. Even just in watching the trailer, it sort of gives the whole. I mean, understandably, it's sort of like the underdog group, and some people not expecting you to finish. The whole thing is just really neat how it unfolds, and it's one of those magical, like. And for me, it just reminds me of that magic that happens on a boat. Obviously, you're taking it to the furthest extreme imaginable in the course of human history. Very few people have done that. But there is a little bit of that adventure and magic anytime you get on a boat, whether it's a sailboat or a powerboat, that like you look at over the horizon, you don't see anything but blue water. And I think everybody, especially as a kid, you kind of just pretend for a second that you might make a trip like that, you know?
Yeah, I wanted to do it from the time I sailed with our family for a year when I was 13 and came back and saw a film at North Star Sail Club in Michigan near Detroit. And I was like, I'm going to do that. And of course, if anybody who knows me, somebody said, "Oh yeah, sure," and like patted me on the head. And at that moment, I was like, "F you, I'm going to do this."
That's awesome. And so, at what point sorry if I called it a trip. At what point a race like that are you actually, or are you at all during that adventure thinking to yourself, "What have I gotten myself into? I wish I wouldn't have done this. I wish I wasn't born." Or the entire time, is it a pretty positive experience?
Well, first of all, we were all, professionals-ish. We had planned for it. We didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into. The only moment that I was really like, uh-oh, what have I done, was right before the start. It's like, oh crap, we're really going around the world. But once you're in it, and anytime and that's one of the things we train here at Oak Cliff, you need to be prepared. In every single moment, your head is in the game. You're never bored because you're always trying to make the boat go faster safely. And I have to say, between the first trip around the world and the second race, the first time I was like, cool, I got frostbite. This is so freaking awesome. And the second time I was like, oh God, I got frostbite again. So being new and having it all be exciting and different is part of the fun.
Yeah, totally. It's really neat because the time you guys did it had to have been one of the first times where people were bringing cameras on board. That race, right? So to be able to do it at a time where you could document it, I think is really, really cool. Even the whipbreads that are happening now, it's so neat to see the interaction with the crew and the documentation part of it. It gives you that spirit of like, we're with you in some way, you know?
Yeah. And it was weird because nowadays I'm dealing with kids. Like, we've had over 300 athletes come through our sessions here at Oak Cliff over the past 10 years. And when I blow their minds when I mention that we had Argos positioning, which meant they knew where we were once a day. Satellites were up on the second time, but not around the Southern Ocean, because why would you spend money to put a satellite up around Antarctica at the time? Kids are like, well, why didn't you use your cell phone? I'm like, they didn't actually exist. So it's fun.
So that's so weird to think about. And it's what's really cool to me is I've got 3 little kids, and I think about them jumping into the yachting industry, just being out on the water. One of the things I love, and I'm so bullish about just boating in general, whether it's sailing or power or whatever, is technology is advancing so rapidly. It's never been safer to do a trip like that. It's never been more like, I hate to use the word responsible to sail around the world, but it's getting safer. It's getting a little bit easier and in some ways more comfortable. I hope my kids learn how to sail. I took a summer lesson at the Lauderdale Yacht Club, and I was really bad at it. It was the first sport I did where my little brother kicked my ass, and I decided I'm never going to go sailing again. So I abandoned it. But I wish I wouldn't have, because sailing is one of those really cool like romantic, nostalgic. This is how people engaged with the water on board a boat 1,000 years ago. Is the sort of same thing I'm doing now. And I hope my kids. I have 2 girls, 1 boy. I hope they do it. And people like you are passing the torch on, especially with what's happening there at Oak Cliff, to make sure that the next generation does it right. And you have a bunch of people coming in after them that are excited about it and can't wait to take adventures like that.
Yep. So when your kids are 15, send them up to me. We'll train them. And I really want to point that we are a job training site. And I was looking at everything you guys do. We have everybody who's graduated is either continuing their education in college because they're that young, or high school, or they're employed in the marine industry. And there really are jobs. And, I was supposed to be at the Wall and sailing on super yachts. That all got canceled. So there's so many facets of the industry. It's crazy. And we actually will train, it's not just kids that want to learn to race. It's people that want to be a project manager or a captain or, work at a brokerage, understanding we do the business, the legal contracts, the sail making, the engine repair, and then the sailing's the ice cream, the gravy.
Yeah, totally. I'm glad you finished with that, because that's kind of like we were talking about it a few hours ago. So many people associate yachting and sailing with just those few, like you in the movie and that adventure, but there's so many thousands of peripheral jobs that are industry that really matter, that moment of sailing around the world doesn't happen without those thousands of people doing their thing.
Absolutely.
So you are getting knocked off, by the way, by a guy named Chuck Ashman.
Okay.
Who's responsible for all revenue coming into the largest boat dealership in the world. And he is ruthless. They're publicly traded, and he is just going to kick you off with absolutely no politeness. I'm very sorry about that.
Not a problem.
I was just happy my camera worked.
Don, it was awesome to meet you, sort of. If anybody's listening in, you want to get behind what Don's doing, it's Oak Cliff 10-year fundraising thing is happening. Just Google it and please support them. Don, thank you so much. What you do matters, and it's an honor to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
All right. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Chuck, how are you?
I'm great, Bob. How you doing?
Your office is exactly how I thought it would be. It's kind of boring. You have like that fake fluorescent light coming down on you. This isn't your home office, I'm hoping.
It is not. I'm sheltering at work.
Okay, I was going to say that would be really depressing if that was your home office with that ceiling. But you have a Marine Max mug that's blue and white. I have a Denison mug, but this would be a good time to cheers.
Cheers. Virtual cheers.
Right. Perfect. There we go. How are you?
Who would have ever thought we'd be on a webcast together?
Seriously, this is unbelievable, and hopefully it's a short-term blip on how we are living life. But I guess we're making the best of it as an industry, and I'm really thankful that you came on. You are very much a leader in the industry, especially as it's specific to the thing that we do, which is buying and selling. And we've always admired you guys over there at Marine Max, and specifically the people in the C-suite are just unbelievably good at what you do. And I'm just thrilled that you came on. So thank you.
I appreciate that.
You spill all of your secrets, and you feel sorry for me, and you just tell me a bunch of things you shouldn't. So that's the goal for the next 15 minutes. Cool?
Perfect. Let's do it.
Okay, so tell us real quickly what's going on at Marine Max. You guys have a lot of offices and stores and locations. What percentage of your stores are shut down right now? What percentage are open, and how are you selling boats in this environment?
It's actually unbelievable. We have, I've joked a couple times, I just went and grabbed my pandemic binder, opened it up, and started our plan. Right. We have a plan for everything. I mean, we literally are battle tested. Yeah. This one is so new and so unexpected and so fluid that it's a challenge. It's a challenge for sure. We've got about 20 operations. We've got about 60 or so across the country. 20 of them are unaffected. Well, we say unaffected. They're not unaffected, but they're open for sales and service. And then the rest, the next 40.
Sorry to interrupt you. Where are those 20? Is that Midwest, or where are those places?
Yeah, a little bit in the Midwest, the Carolinas. I'd have to look at the sheet because it really is so fluid. But so you take East Florida, well, in West Florida to some degree is we're able to work to some degree at our West Florida stores, and they're that's a strong group for us. They're carrying a load right now. It's and that's what we're gonna need our entire team to get through this, because East Florida, as you know, is heavily impacted. I thought Paul Castronova said it really, really good. And if there's anything I was going to say is, for the boaters that are out here listening, please, follow the guidelines, the sensible guidelines that would allow everybody that wants to get on the boat for the weekend the opportunity to do it, because it's nobody's ever going to feel sorry for the rich yacht people. But when they see 20, 30 people on a boat rafted off, it's miserable. It's all going to get shut down. So,
and it's going to ruin the fun and the adventure for the rest of us that hopefully are doing it responsibly. And that's like the heartbreaking thing about it. Just like you, we have a few clients that are using their boats, want to go out there and and you can't steal this thing from me because I'm going to trademark this, but it's your social distancing vehicle. How'd you like that? So you can that came from me.
You're the best at that.
Yeah. You're the best you have this second home that you can go and be quarantined on this thing that moves around on the water in a very safe way, and actually get out of your house a little bit. And it would really, really be a shame if marinas and boat ramps and stuff were shut down because of the mistakes that just a very few people are making.
It really is. I saw the image from Miami-Dade last weekend, and it was in the middle of trying to work a deal where we were seeing if we could even sea trial, and it was moving so fast. We were afraid the waterways were going to be shut down because of the image of 100 boats at Hullover Inlet. And it's such a poor example of what boating is and what boating brings to people and to families that I wish there was some sort of rebuttal, but there'll never be a rebuttal on things like that. So people have to be sensible. But you had asked a question. What we're seeing through this is the resolve, the determination, the passion of boaters, both on our side, the people that work for us. We have some passionate boaters, and our customers, more importantly, it's just unbelievable. They want to get their boating, what we call it our sanctuary, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just, that's where you go. You want to go feel good, get on your boat. And totally. When you say you're determined and they're working through it. So, I mean, I think we're going to have short-term impact for sure, but I also think that it's going to come back very quick, very strong.
What kind of boat do you have? What is your sanctuary?
I am the worst example of that right now, because I sold my boat in November and I've got a boat on order from a factory that's shut down, and I have no boat. So
you have what boat's on order? We need to know. You represent a lot of different brands. This might get you in trouble. What boat did you order?
I ordered a 47 Azimuth Verve, the new quadruple outboard boat. I needed a bigger cabin. I had a 40 Verve, which was the perfect boat for us. But I have a young daughter, wife, dog. We needed a little more cabin, and then when my grown son comes, he needs a place. So this boat's perfect for us. It's like the ultimate day boat, and unfortunately, it's hung up with plant closures in Italy right now.
Yeah, so I represent some brands from Europe also, and it's been neat and painful and eye-opening to see how each of these factories and yards are responding to this different. And it, of course, just depends on what part of the world you're in, right? And how that's impacting the local community. What is happening right now over at Azimuth? Are people not going to work at all, not touching boats, just sort of mothballed and shut down? Or is there actually some activity in those yards over there in Italy?
Yeah, there's no activity. It's really a federally, government mandated shutdown. And that's kind of what we're doing, right? We're just following the guidelines, whatever because it's hard for us to close one store and not the other, but we'll follow the guidelines. That's what Azimuth's doing. That whole country is basically shut down. They hope sometime after Easter they'll open. I don't think it's any insider knowledge. It's on the news every day. If they open up, they have told us that they believe they'll stay on schedule with production, which would be great news for us. We have a fair amount of boats that are sold and on order, and that's an issue, right? It's always nice to have sold order boats, but it's an issue when the factory's closed.
Yep. And let's again hope that that's a short thing, but there's just really no telling. I got to talk about the virtual boat show. This general idea and concept was yours first. So MarineMax was the first company to really do this, not because of a pandemic like this, but because you were trying to reach out to people virtually. You wanted to engage with people in a different way. Guys like me hadn't even considered or thought of something like that. Tell us a little bit about how your virtual boat shows are. I am happy that I beat you to the punch this time and I got one done before you guys did. I would imagine you guys are I've got to be rolling a version out like this soon. I think you've done 2 already, right?
So we've actually done 4, and well, in all different facets. So yeah, we did. I think our first one in December of 2018, and the idea there was, and you know what, I'll give you credit, because when we thought of it, I said, you know what, I said Bob Denison's he's gonna see this and go, damn it. But we did. We thought of it a while ago that it's just so much gets bought online, and it's just, there's another generation. We're trying to connect with this new generation of potential wealth, right? The millennial, and we just wanted to connect with them in a different way. And we thought, hey, maybe we could sell some boats, but really we're just about connection, and it worked. But we learned a lot of lessons, and then we did a used boat one in the summer, and that worked, and we made some more connections. And then we've kind of simultaneously run concurrent with Fort Lauderdale and concurrent with Miami, and it's just amazing. So I had originally figured after 6 we'd have it down. So we're at 4. We've got one coming for sure. We're trying to figure out when to. And I applaud you for doing this, because I think it's a great thing to just show activity. We were probably more conservative and said we're going to try to time it a little bit with some more good news. But you hit it well, because there's some good news this week. You know, with the stimulus is coming out.
Yeah, but I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's like the good news with the stimulus coming out is good. The stock market's rebounding a little bit, kind of, but there's also all this bad news coming down. There's just real people dying and real families getting affected by this thing. It was really tough for us, because we're sitting here trying to figure out how to pull off a boat show when we're trying to capture people that are stuck in their house and may want to just talk boats with some people or shop and engage with boats in a different way. But it's really hard to do in an environment like this, and it hasn't gone unnoticed for me. I'm very aware of the irony of the silly, fun, kind of cool boat show thing in the face of a international tragedy is difficult. But I own a small business. I've got to do what I can to support our clients and our brokers, and we hope that this thing isn't tone deaf, but it might be to some people. And we were just trying our best to just reach people in a new way,
Well, it's the absolute best thing you can do for the industry, for customers, for your team. So I'll give you a ton of credit on that. And it runs the risk at being ill-timed. But at the end of the day, I really think it's been long enough that people are, just the general population is ready to hear that, hey, life's going to be okay and we're going to get back to work. So whatever work means to whatever person, I think it's good. It's okay. Well, and it is time.
It's been a long week and a hard week trying to figure it out. There was even a few times we just thought about pulling the plug on it, but we of course decided not to do that. We had talked before just about I introduced you as the person responsible for revenue for the largest company in our industry. As a result, you guys are publicly traded. You have different stresses than I do. Because of that, and there's also certain advantages to that. Lately, it's been hard, just like every other stock that's publicly traded. You guys have gotten beaten up a little bit. How does that part of your world affect real life decisions right now, or do you not even think about it? You're just running forward, just not worried about the stock. You're just trying to get boats sold.
I will tell you, it's going to affect a lot of people in our team differently, because sometimes we get viewed by our stock price. And when we're really, really high, we're probably not as good as people think we are. And when we're really, really low, we're nowhere near as bad as they think we are. Yeah. I've been at it since we formed. And quite honestly, the stock price to me is nothing. It's we run our business and always have the same way we ran it when we were private. The visibility does make it challenging. But thankfully, I'll tell you where it's an impact. We've got a lot of inventory. So an inventory can be a strength or a weakness depending on the climate. So right now, as we start to manage through inventory, it puts a lot of pressure on the manufacturers, because we order a lot of boats from them. So it's a delicate balance, but our leadership is really battle tested, thankfully. And none of us make decisions for the short term. We always make decisions. We kind of frame it up as, I've always said it, take care of the team, take care of the customer. Everything else kind of takes care of itself. So we've got to take care of our team. We're going to focus on that. And that'll have a different definition for everybody, because it's a challenge when you have to tell somebody, especially commission-based salespeople, we're shutting down your store.
Yeah.
That's tough, right? And then
that's a dude or a woman that has a family they're supporting. That's obviously sensitive to the fact that the world is suffering through this thing, but at the end of the day, they need to buy groceries, they need to pay rent, they need to, all that stuff. These are such hard things to do. I think what you guys have done a good job of is delivering that message to your clients and to your brokers and to your team in a very human way. It's so easy to do like a corporate, hey guys, this is what's happening, sorry about that. But when you message it in a way that that is human, and you do it with a little bit of sympathy, it really goes a long way.
No, it's funny, our company, right? When you see us at a boat show and there's 100 blue shirts walking around, it's easy to poke a little fun. I love our company. We're really a good company that is team and customer focused. Yep. We just roll up into a big public company and you get all that visibility and all the noise that surrounds that. Yep. But nothing's changed from, I'm almost 30 years in the business, from the first day I walked into our first store to sell boats. And that part I like.
That is really, really cool. There's some longevity there. It's neat. And I talk about you guys behind your back sometimes. You guys have the best leadership team in the industry. You're from marketing, finance, sales. You guys are on it. I admire much of what you guys do. And thank you for joining me. It's kind of a cool thing, maybe a little bit weird for some, but I was so excited that you agreed to join us here. And thank you guys for being the inspiration to do the virtual boat show thing. I was really, really excited to steal another idea from you.
You know what? There's going to be about 20 of them by the end of the month. But we'll be the pioneers. And I'm going to steal some of the cool things you're doing, so don't feel bad.
No, I won't. But I will give you shit for it. But you are welcome to.
Perfect.
Chuck, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on. Good luck to everybody in Clearwater. And up next we have Mr. Mike Joyce, who I think you know, Chuck. We've got
absolutely. Likewise. Thanks for having me, Bob. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna boot you off here and throw Mike up. Mr. Joyce, how are you?
Great. I just lost all the connection. I don't know what happened.
Well, I can hear you pretty good. I've actually, and it's not your fault, I struggled a little bit with a few people on the video thing. I'll give you a second to try to figure that out.
Let me see if I can log in again.
Yeah, there's like a white icon on a blue stripe at the top there. I think if you hit that, it'll make you live. I think.
Working on it now.
Cool. I am excited you're here. I'm just going to talk about you and introduce you, and then as soon as you're ready, you can start talking back. Mr. Joyce is the guy responsible for Hargrave, which is truly a custom yacht builder. And a lot of people say that they're custom yacht builders, but they're really just production builders that move a few pillows around. Hargrave is that place that you go to build a boat that is one of those like dream up ideas that you and your family have. And the suite of boats that they've built is so radically just different, and you have some boats that are really, really focused on high volume, big, spatial. You have other boats that are more of a traditional motor yacht look to it. But at Hargrave is the place that you go when you have other shipyards say, no, we can't do that, or no, we won't do that, or no, you need to think this way. Hargrave says, come to us. We'd love to dream that up with you and make it really happen. So they truly are custom. And there is Mr. Joyce. How are you?
Great. How are you, Bob?
Good. Where are you? You're at your office, right?
I have a message I have to give you first.
Yes.
The guy behind you said you're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you very much. It could be any one of those four guys behind me. I would be thrilled to receive that compliment from. But thank you very, 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 very much. So I am, I think, 4 hours into this thing, or 5 hours. I'm kind of losing track here. Most of the day we're talking about boats and the world that we're living in today. I was really, really excited. I think you were like the first or second person that I asked to join this conversation last week. And you're always one of those guys I enjoy talking to, and you're just one of the most down-to-earth, smart guys that I know. So thank you for hanging out with us.
Have you already let go of the person who put the scheduling in place for you?
No, well, that was me and a little bit of Lauren, who, Lauren, by the way, has been awesome to work with. Halfway through Monday or Tuesday this week, she was like, you got too many people, cut it out. And I said, what were you talking about, Lauren? This is going to be fun. And she was right. This is Harder than I thought.
It's,
But
it's historic.
so one of the boats we have, and this is going to be a plug for you and me, that we have on display at the virtual boat show is MB3. It's 100 Hargrave. One of the rules that we made about the virtual boat show being a virtual boat show is that it has to be inventory, it has to be listings, brokerage and new, whatever it is, big or small. It has to have a virtual reality or a video walkthrough element. And luckily, it's been so easy to work with you guys because you're forward thinking that we already had some of that stuff in place. So this little part's happening here. The other part of the boat show is happening on another screen. Interact with it. I encourage you guys to take a look at MB3. In my opinion, the best kind of 95 to 115 foot motor yachts available for sale right now. It is new, warranty, all that stuff. Alex Clark is the guy you're going to want to talk to there. So I needed to make sure I got that off of my chest. I do a good job selling MB3, Mr. Joyce.
Absolutely. You're hired.
Cool. Do you want to say anything else about MB3 or the yard in general? Like, what are you guys up to? You guys had a monster boat at Fort Lauderdale on the face dock. What are you guys doing? You guys, again, have such a diverse offering of boats that you're building. Tell us about what's going on at Hargrave and what's the next launch.
Let's see. The next launch just got to town. That was the 92 footer.
Yep.
And what we do that I think is unique, which you pointed out, is generally somebody else goes first. And I like to remind people that the first wagon trains that went west, everybody was killed. So you don't want to be in the first wagon train. But after that, they go to the boat shows, they see the boats, and there's something that's just not exactly what they had in mind. And this boat is one of those where the client looked around, he's in Boston, he studied the market, and he goes, it's not exactly what I think it should be. Told us what it was, we designed it, and here it is. And when you see it, I think you'll agree that it looks different too. I mean, that's not my personal style boat. And when I looked at it, the way they did the colors and the shadings and the shapes on the boat, I thought it was really interesting. That's what we were hoping to have at Palm Beach. That obviously may or may not happen. So we'll see.
Well, we hope it does. It's definitely unlike any other Hargrave you've ever built. I saw pictures of it a few weeks ago, and it's really cool looking. And when I say cool looking, it's different looking, but spatially inside, definitely a lot of advantages to that kind of a design. And I think people are going to really, really like what that allows them to do once they walk onto the boat.
One of the things people were shocked at, there's a magic number called 800 or 500 gross tons. And when they got on the new 186, they go, how big is this? I said, it's 880 gross tons. Like, oh my God. Well, the client, we agreed, we built 3 boats for the client. We agreed, he agreed, never doing this again. I'm just not going through this. So he goes to all the top brands. He goes to look at what he wants, and he can reach up and touch the ceiling. He goes, what is this? They go, 500 gross tons, 500 gross tons. And after he goes, oh my God, he said to Mike D, are we going to have to do it again? He goes, I don't know. He goes, he says, I'm not going to live with this. So next thing you know, you go in that boat. I mean, the ceilings are 8 foot high. That's massive. He's a builder by nature. So, and he builds big stuff, and he works in Manhattan. So that's his vision. And that's where we fit in. It's not, you couldn't run a business that way. You couldn't build 50 of them. I mean, I heard you mention Beneteau built 8,800 boats. 6 boats is huge for us. You know, from your family business, you sell 6 orders this year and sign 6 next year. The place is coming apart. I mean, it's just mind blowing with all the changes.
Well, yeah. And so talk a little bit about that, because the Hargrave is going to allow you to do any of that stuff, especially spatially and the way that all that is designed and works. But one of the consistent things about a Hargrave is the hull. Can you tell us a little bit about the Jack Sarah? Like, what is the benefit of that platform? And it seems to me that no matter what, any Hargrave you go on, no matter what it looks like, what era it comes out of, no matter what, every one of those things is a great seaworthy boat.
Well, I think, as you know, we've done almost 100 projects with Kashing in Taiwan, and in Taiwan, we replaced our tooling about probably 7-8 years ago. And what happened is the horsepower keeps going up and up. Then the design platform you have maybe doesn't work like it's supposed to. I mean, you can keep putting horsepower in, but it doesn't perform.
Right.
And more specifically, in our world, everything, it's not about us, it's the client. Normally the boat builder sits around, he's got this idea, it's a great idea, let's take it to market. We don't. We sit there and the guy goes, you know what you need to do? And go, what? And this came from Dick Rowe. And Dick Rowe said, I got tired of watching Westports go by me like this. I got tired of it. And he had it. So I said, what do you want? He says, I want a Jack Sarin hull. So we call up Jack and said, here's the client he wants. By the way, we also went to Westport with him. And he said, well, I want this, and I want this, and I want this. And Alex says, well, thanks for coming, Dick. He says, I can see why you got a heart rate. He wanted a cockpit, and he wanted this, and he wanted certain kind of decks. So Jack Sarin, he said, where do you want to be? How much speed do you want? What do you want to use for horsepower? And we put the program together with him. And from that point on, if you wanted to come in tomorrow morning with a client, and he says, I want a Mike Peters design, that's fine. That's what custom's all about. But if we have things and they're things you can use for your design, we'll show you what they are. Here's the hull. We can go to this length, this beam, and those kind of concepts. And then after that, it's up to the buyer.
But it seems to me, and if I'm wrong on this, tell me, but it seems to me that like 80% of your guys, the boats that you're building are Jack Sarin hulls, right?
Yes.
Or is that way too high of a number? Okay, so the vast majority.
No. But the other thing is the boats we're doing in Turkey are different. I mean, those are different projects with different hulls. So that's a new thing. So probably you're absolutely in the last 10 years, 80% have been Jack Sarin hulls. Thank God.
So I'm going to say something else here. I'm always up late at night. I'm always thinking of new ideas. I'm trying to figure out how to make life as a yacht broker better and easier for the people that work here. I'm trying to think of ways to take care of customers, especially like just real life customers that want to have a great experience on the digital side or boat show experiential side. And one of my favorite things about our friendship is that I get so many ideas and so much inspiration from you. And I think part of the reason is we both have our eyes and we both appreciate so much what's going on in the industry of real estate. And I don't think I've ever told you this, but you introduced me to a guy named Tom Ferry. If you're a yacht broker out there, by the way, I would encourage you just to Google the guy's name. I wouldn't have known who he was unless I knew you, Mr. Joyce. But I think 20 or 30 of our guys now are benefiting from his coaching and just his sort of outlook on how to take care of customers and make sacrifices. The cool thing about it, I seem to get these ideas from you in an email, sometimes a text, and it's like at 11:30 at night or 1 a.m. What is your sleep schedule like? How are you doing that? And is that like a good thinking time for you late at night?
My wife is a dog lover, and we live on dog time. So if the dogs decide to go out at 1 o'clock, I'm awake. So what happens is when I'm awake, you got two choices. Either you toss in the bed or I sleep with an iPad. So I immediately look to see what's happening in my world, the people I follow, listen to some of the messages. And when I see something that I know applies to somebody, I send it out right away. Most people in life never listen to anything. They know so much they don't need to. You're one of the few people I know that listens. That's why if I see something, I take the time to send it to you. Well,
thank you. Yeah, no, it's I'm a good target for that because I really just value the stuff that you're throwing at us. There's a lot of great stuff to learn from real estate. Again, the Tom Ferry thing has been awesome. This is not just randomly. Lauren, can you pass me that book over there? This just shows up. I think you hand delivered this too. It's right down there. But you're also a reader like crazy. And my next book is thanks to you. What the cool thing about Mike Joyce is he drops off the boat personally with a note, which is awesome. And this boat is called The Future is Faster Than You Think. So I haven't read it yet. You said it's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about this book? And by the way, you're just a fan of the book. You're not the author, right?
Oh, don't I wish. The book is written by a guy named Peter Diamandis. And I happen to be a change agent. Given a choice between let's do this another year, why don't we blow it up today? I blow it up today. That's my nature. Peter Diamandis has changed more things than you can possibly manage. One of the things is the space industry. He created something called the X Prize. Now, the X Prize, X is the name of the sponsor who put up the $10 million. It was the largest prize in history. And it leaked out. It took off like a rocket. People are entering this thing to go into space. Paul Allen backed one of the teams, all the wealthiest people in the world. And there was one problem. He didn't have the $10 million. So finally, this woman, Mrs. Ansari, shows up to back it up. But that's where all this stuff you see with Elon Musk, all of them, it all came from this. And what he's trying to tell us is change goes along and it goes slowly. It goes from 2 to 4 to 4 to 8. Oh my God, I'm going to fall asleep. And one day it hits a point, it goes vertical. And he said, there are so many things in society about to go vertical all at the same time. What's happened today is probably the biggest event you'll ever see in your life. I mean, what's happening to see the entire world focus on something at the same time? It's never happened in your lifetime. Everybody's looking at the same. It's a health scare. But to have them do that, it's never happened before. So the changes that'll come out of this, what you're doing now, that's a change. What happens to the future with boat shows and all that? Everything's about to change, and all for the better. But unfortunately, as he said, you go through a period called creative destruction, and then the future comes out. So you just want to be sure you're holding on tight as you go through that next phase.
Right. And that's part of the scary part of being in the thick of it. It's not like we know the ending of the story exactly. And when our kids one day read the chapter in the history book about this, it's going to all seem so easy and not scary. But in the middle of it, it's terrifying as you're trying to figure out ways to, again, take care of customers, make payroll, make sure the people that have trusted you to provide leads for them and work as a broker. It is a scary environment, and that's just one business. You multiply that across 100 different industries attached, multiply by 100,000 different small businesses. It is a terrifying moment in history.
That's why you're so fortunate to have the president you have right now. He's the only guy on that platform that actually understands what happens on the other side of the wall. The rest of them don't. They live in la-la land. They're academics and doctors. And as he said, if they could shut this down for 2 years to make sure they do it. He's fighting like crazy to open it now. He knows exactly what's happening. So we're very fortunate.
And I enjoy those conversations. I can't believe we've had how many people, and you're the first person to bring up the politics of it. But it is such a tense conversation to figure that out, because you're talking about the survival of companies, which seems not real and plastic and not human, but all those companies are attached to humans with identities and jobs and healthcare, versus the survival of real people that might get sick and die. And it is a hard, dangerous conversation to enter into. And those people that are deciding those things are very, very brave. Mr. Joyce, I don't know how to say goodbye to you. I feel like I just want to hang out here all day with you and talk to you. So the next person that's coming up is Vincent Finetti, and I'm kind of hoping he's late, because if he is, then we can keep going here. Do you know Vincent, by the way? Have you guys ever worked together before?
I was in his fan club a long time ago, too. There was no training in our industry at one time, and he was the first one to really put the time and effort. He was a groundbreaker like you. And I was a big fan.
That's one of the things that I wish our industry, even to this day, had more of. There's just not a lot of guys that are out there doing that. And our industry is so small, it's hard to create that ecosystem because there's so many small businesses. But yeah, you're right. Vincent's been out in front of this thing since the beginning, and he's just a great all around dude. So he is the guy kicking you off. But luckily, I think he's coming on right now, and it's going to be one of these Italian. He's going to make you feel good about getting knocked away from here, Mr. Joyce. Let's see if he's on. Vincent, how are you? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Do you hear that? Doesn't feel
excellent?
Good?
Mike, how are you?
I'm
Mike,
great. How are you?
Mike. You know, Mike is one of the reasons Yacht Sales Academy is out there. I want to say it. A few years ago, I sent the first newsletter to the industry, and Mike was the first to respond, to encourage me, and he's one of my best mentor in the yachting industry, and I'm so grateful to be right after him.
If you do what Vincent tells you, it's money in the bank, folks.
Thanks, my friend.
The amount of ideas that come out of Mr. Joyce are unbelievable, and if you listen to just a percentage of them, you'll be a smarter, better person. Can I let you guys talk for a second, because I have to take another bathroom break and grab some coffee and water. You guys can just talk to each other, and be back in about 2 or 3 minutes.
Mike, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm so happy to see you. I was actually sad to be right after you, because I'm not going to have a chance to talk to him. But now I'm with you. The books that you recommended is fantastic. I read it. I love Peter Diamandis. Thank you so much for recommending that book.
Good.
You always give amazing idea, and I'm so glad to. And I've seen the whole interview with you, and I'm so happy to see you here.
Well, tell me something. What's been the response over the last 5 years? I know that you started off with some of the really big companies, and they signed up and they put it in their companies. Have they followed up on it? Do you see them putting an annual program in place? Because training is something. I'm from a generation. If you didn't go to some training this year, what are you, stupid? Why don't you just? And I know so many people haven't read a sales book, haven't been to a training center, haven't done anything. That's why, Bob, I recommended. I don't know. Do you know Tom Ferry? Have you seen his?
I do. Yes. I'm also following real estate. I'm trying to be to pay attention to different type of industry. I think
so much of what they do does apply. Not all of it, for sure, but
exactly.
a lot of
and very often. very often the people that bring the new thing in an industry are outsider. They come from other type of industry. If you look at Uber, the guy wasn't a taxi driver, he was a developer. Same for Airbnb. So if you pay attention to what's going on outside our industry, I think we can get some good ideas and try to implement them in the boating industry. And right now, as you said, it's very important to have the right mindset. It's very important to invest in yourself, trying to be the best version of yourself to help your clients. And that's why I admire what a lot of people are doing in the industry right now, to work very hard trying to help their clients. How are you guys doing?
We're so small, you know, it's easy for us. I mean, we don't have the logistics or the problems with factories that other people. We do 6 boats. That's a huge year for us. So, I mean, that's a different business model. We're in the service business. And I tell people our first job is every morning we get up and talk about service. And most people get up and talk about sales. And then after we get through that list, assuming we do, they go, oh, by the way, is anybody thinking about a heart rate and what can we do for them too? So by taking care of those people, we've always had the reorders. Last week, one of our clients gave us another order for a 3rd boat that they've done with us. Let me give you an example of what service is. Service is when a guy named Jim McGurk comes to the boat show in Lauderdale, and this is back at the bottom of the recession, probably 2008, 2009 in Lauderdale. He goes, how's business, huh? I said, well, it's all right. He said, no, it isn't. No, I said, no, it's not. He says, it sucks, doesn't it? I go, yeah. He says, I bet you're close to desperate by now, aren't you? I said, well, since you brought it up, he goes, that's what I thought. He says, get something ready and send it to my office. I'll sign it. And then he walked away. I swear to God. And I said to Mike D, did he say what I thought he said? He goes, yeah, he did. We sent it up. He goes, there, keep going. You're doing the right stuff. So those people are out there. Our customers love us. If you're taking care of when I grew up, my father said, remember this, and you don't have to remember anything else. If you always take care of the customer, he says, I mean, always, he's usually drinking when he's doing it down on the table. And he says, if you always take care of the customer always takes care of you.
Yes.
My whole life, that's been the case. So.
And talking about customer, I wanted to recommend a book also. I brought a couple of books. You recommended a great book. I wanted to recommend this book, and especially right now in this time. It's an amazing book, Raving Fans, and it's all about being obsessed about customer service, being obsessed about taking care of your clients. And I think this book is more relevant than ever in a period like that. So I also wanted to add an addition to the reading list of all of you guys today with a great recommendation from Mike.
Good for you. Vincent, good to see you. Goodbye, kiddos.
See you, Mr. Joyce. Have a good one, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. Talk soon.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much for everything.
Absolutely.
Vincent, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How about you?
So where in the world are you? I feel like you're one of those friends I have every single time I go into Facebook. You're in some crazy corner of the world.
So right now, luckily for me, I'm at home. I live in Vancouver Island. It's in Canada. It's close to Vancouver. It's a big island in front of Vancouver. We have like around 500,000 people living in Vancouver Island. I've been living here for the last 12 years. It's amazing living here. It's a paradise. And so I'm very happy, very fortunate, very grateful to be here with my family, my wife and 2 kids. And
you're Italian. How did you end up in Canada?
So I'm French. People can recognize my accent. Yeah, I'm French, but I have an Italian name. And I ended up in Canada. I was traveling around the world for a year and a half. My girlfriend, who is my wife today, Jenna, is Canadian. So that's why I moved to Canada 12 years ago. Okay. And since I came here, I never left. It's a wonderful place to be, and I absolutely love it. It's difficult for me to travel because I always travel all around the world. So it's very far, it's very remote, but I love being here.
And so you actually get to Vancouver Island. Obviously, it's an island, so you're taking a ferry there, right?
So to go to Vancouver Island, there is different way you can do. You can take the seaplane, and usually most of the time I will take the seaplane. You can take the helicopters. Once in a while, I will take the helicopter. You can take the ferry, or you can take the regular plane. So the island is very well deserved, but the most convenient for me is the seaplane. Seaplane terminal is like 5 minutes from my house. I will go there, and within 15 minutes, I can be at the main airport in Vancouver.
I love it. We got to talk quickly because there's some yacht brokers watching right now that are working in a scary environment.
Yes, that helps yacht brokers.
Yeah, you are one of those guys that yacht brokers go to when they're like, I need a new idea. I'm freaking scared. I want to be inspired. I want to be motivated. They tune into you. Sometimes they just watch your videos. Sometimes they call you. Sometimes they text you. But they're in some way reaching out to you. What is your message right now to people that are trying to make a living selling boats in a weird, scary environment like this?
So the message is you need to ask yourself the right question. The most important, the quality of your life will depend on the quality of the question you ask yourself. And some people in a moment of change like this are going to ask themselves, why is this bad thing happening? Some people will ask themselves a different question. They're going to ask, is this a bad thing or a good thing that is happening right now? And the problem when you ask yourself a question like this is very often the negative is going to win, because the way our brain is wired to focus on the negative things. That's why we focus on the news. That's why we always tend to focus on the negative thing in our life, because it's a survival mechanism. We're a caveman. If you go outside of the cave and you have a beautiful flower on the left and a lion behind the bush on the right, if you would focus on the flower, chances are the lion jump on you and you will be dead. So it's a protective mechanism to focus on the negative. Right. And also people, they ask themselves, why is this a positive thing? Why is this a good thing? Why is this a blessing? And that's a question you need to ask yourself. It's an opportunity to change. It's an opportunity to become a better person. It's an opportunity to build a better business. It's an opportunity to change and evolve your business, which you guys are doing right now. And that's really, really important. So the mindset and the question you ask yourself are very important, despite the fact that it's, yes, of course, it's very difficult right now, very challenging, but we are all in the same boat, and you must focus on positive.
I like it, and I would expect nothing less of you. I do want to, what you said, I agree with, but what I want you to deliver a message to is the broker that just heard that and he was like, great, Vincent, I'm going to be positive, right? Like, I get it. I've been around you long enough, but give them some practical things to do today to reach out to a client. How do you even start a conversation to a client about a boat or a lead about a boat? What are some things you can do practically, email or on the phone or engagement-wise to reach out to clients?
So there are two words. Number one is empathy. You need to address the situation. You need to address the elephant in the room. You cannot just sell as is and not pretend as nothing is happening. So number one is empathy, caring about your clients, caring about their situation. But the second thing, and I think it's one of the most important things, is vulnerability. And vulnerability is telling your clients that, hey, we are being affected. Our industry is being hit fast, the hardest. But you know what? Despite that, I love my job. I'm so grateful I work in this industry, and I'm going to have your back. So if you want me to check your line, if you want me to go and wash your boat, I had some students from Yacht's Academy. They took their pressure washer and they went and they washed the boats of the clients. They went and washed the boat of clients because they had nothing to do. And I'm like, you know what? Congratulations. That's what you want to do. Inaction is not going to do nothing for you. But maybe if you wash that client's boat, if you go check their battery charger, if you go to check their lines, at some point they're going to reward you for that, and at some point they're going to give you business. Maybe you cannot sell boats right now because maybe we're on lockdown, we cannot do a sea trial, we cannot do a survey, but you can plant the seeds, care for your clients, and you can make sure that serve them the best you can, and they will reward you, they will give you business in the future. And that's, I think, the main message I've been trying to give people is, I know it's difficult right now, it's difficult for everybody, but this is a time to give. You got to be 100%. And that's the most important thing to do right now.
And that's kind of one of those things. You held up that book, Raving Fans, which is such a good book. You do things like that. That's what creates a, holy shit, you're not going to believe what my yacht broker did for me today moment, where somebody's going to start to share their experience with their friend and talk to them and say, this guy has any excuse not to pick up the phone, call me, not to go see my boat, not to wash it, not to check on my boat and take a picture and let me know how it's doing because I'm far away. You're not going to believe what this guy has done for me in an environment like this.
Exactly.
The perfect time to create a raving fan, because you don't want to, we sometimes get like caught up in the short term, like I just want to get a boat sold. But the power of creating somebody that says, I can't believe what this freaking guy did to take care of me.
Yes.
I need to tell you about it, is with a part where referrals come in, credibility is built, and those lifelong relationships are birthed.
Yes, and I'm going to share something very profound that Mike Joyce shared with me many, many years ago. And every time I shared it with clients, he had a big impact. And with students, he had a big impact. One day, Mike told me, he said, you know, Vince, do you know the only one car companies that increased car sales during the previous recession? So I'm thinking, I'm like, no. And he's like, there is only one company in North America that increased car sales. And so I was curious. I'm like, which one is that? And he said, it's Hyundai. And he's like, do you know why? I'm like, no. And then he asked me, he said, do you know the biggest fear people have during the recession? I'm like, I don't know, to learn security or things. He's like, it's to lose their job, right? That's the biggest fear people have. And what Hyundai did is when they were selling the car, they implemented an insurance program. It was called the Hyundai insurance program. So in the unlikely event that you would lose your job, they would stop the lease for a couple months so you could go find another job, or they will eventually cancel the lease and you will not lose any money, or that would not impact your credit. Very few people ended up using that insurance, but just the fact to implement it, there was the only car company that increased car sales in the previous recession. So the idea is, don't focus on your product, focus on your clients. You have to focus on your clients and don't focus on your product. Be obsessed about your client. Be obsessed about serving. Be obsessed about customer service. They come back to one of my favorite quotes from Howard Schultz. He said, the CEO of Starbucks, he said, we're not in the coffee business serving people. We're in the people business serving coffee. And this is the same philosophy we need to have in the boating industry. We are in the people business. Let's serve those people. Let's do our best. And remember, boats are relevant right now. You're not selling boats, you're selling fresh air. You're not selling boats, you're selling social distancing. You're not selling boats, you're selling, the guy's been, inside his house with his family for months. They just want to get out. They just want to go. Boats are relevant today. And this is the message I want to give people, is really be obsessed with your client.
That's an awesome message to end on, Vincent. It is a really, really cool thing for us to just leave and be encouraged with. Those are some other just really good ideas. You are a French guy with an Italian name that lives in Canada and serves customers in the United States of America. You're one of those global sort of examples of what our world looks like today and what our industry looks like today. And I've never, ever once hit the docks at a boat show and not run into you and walked away like more pumped up and just more positive and excited about being
Likewise.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for putting this together. I think it's a great example for the industry, and have all a wonderful day.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vincent. See you later, man.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Dean, how are you?
Bob, good to see you, sir. Always a pleasure. I'm really glad you went to the bathroom. I was getting a little nervous there. Your desk there.
Yeah, it's been, I joke around with my friends. I've always wanted, and it's never going to happen because my wife would never let me do this. I've always wanted to put a urinal in my office. Now would have been a very useful time for that to have been something. I think I saw it in a movie once in the 80s. It just seemed like a really cool thing to have. Have you ever had a urinal in your office installed?
No, I can't say I have. Nope. We haven't done that.
Next time you refit your office. Good Dean, point. How are you?
Good, buddy. Good. A little challenging time for all of us, but definitely.
You are home, which is cool. Where is home for you? That's your office?
Well, it's actually the boardroom where we come, and when we're really bored around here, we kind of come into this room. But no, the second office. Sorry.
Holy smokes. Your boardroom is bigger than my house, I think. Definitely bigger than my living room.
I think it's a wide-angle camera we have here, so it's not that big.
No, that's pretty freaking gigantic. So you are the president of and the founder of a place or a business called National Marine. Can you tell everybody really quick what that is? Some people outside the big boat stuff might not know what National Marine is. Every single person in the super yacht world knows of National Marine. Just tell everybody quickly kind of what you do, what problem you solve for yacht owners and captains.
Well, we're a supply company. Started about 31 years ago. Basically started off with deck engineering, and it's led into 14 different divisions. Supplying, following the yachts around the world from A to Z. And the challenges have changed, as all suppliers have seen, but without a doubt, right now is a challenge that I don't think anybody really expected, to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. I've been telling my friends and even people here today and employees, like we were all, I think, expecting some kind of downturn to happen at some point in the next, whatever, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 quarters. But none of us expected this thing to happen. And it's been scary. And we've talked about it a little bit before. The only thing that's a little bit encouraging is that we're all in it together. There's not any industry at all that's not touched by this. There's no city. There's no country. We're all kind of been affected and slapped in the face by this thing.
No doubt. no doubt. I think the challenges that I don't think anybody's understanding is, first of all, the crews are under a challenge within itself, being on lockdown. But crews still have to be fed. And the one thing that the environment, I think each one of us are dealing with, what we could all accomplish from the grocery store 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and what we can do now is unbelievable. We have full staff. We've had full staff. We're open at 5 a.m. in the morning. We have trucks on the road starting then, going from Savannah all the way down to Miami.
So you're the one guy that we're talking to today that really is very much, I shouldn't say the one, there's been a few people, but you are in the guts of this thing, very much an essential part of our industry being able to operate. So I just want to give some real life examples of something that somebody might call you guys up for. And it happens every day, right? So you're provisioning pretty much everything, right? And you talk about grocery stores. There's some parts of that you guys provision, correct?
That is correct.
And there's some parts. Sorry, I just want to run down a few things. So you got like the food, the wine, the produce, coffee, and then you have the other stuff, which is like mechanical, right? Like spare parts, propellers, anything that's on a boat that's like helping operate the boat. You guys support that. And then you also have the other stuff, which is the toys and tenders. And it's just anything that lives on a boat that's not a person, you guys probably touch and provision. So if somebody is out there using their boat for any number of reasons and they need to get something on board, you guys are the people they call, right?
Right, we hope so. Yes.
So in an environment like that, how are things changing? I know before you guys have an online ordering system. I would imagine that's been more used lately. Or are most people still just calling in and saying, hey, I need to get some food for my crew?
Well, the challenges are that they're sending in a wish list, and what we can accomplish on the wish list of who's available. We start, let's look at provisions. We get an order for 40 gallons of milk, 5 boxes of cereal, and a jar of peanut butter. Obviously, it's significantly larger than that, but there's nowhere that even with 10 shoppers on the road right now, hitting every grocery store, are you permitted to walk in and leave with 40 gallons of milk? That's just not fair. It doesn't work like that anymore. You can go to the online servicing when it comes to provisions in bulk. And the wish list as far as grocery store items is the things that are right now the most challenging. Bulk, when it comes to proteins, fruit and veg, the suppliers are doing an amazing job. The wholesalers are delivering every morning. We have the streets lined up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So we're still accomplishing the bulk load of provisions, but it's, as you said, it's the spices, it's the specialty items. And the biggest challenge for the crews are, we don't know, nobody knows how long this is going to go on for. We all like to be very optimistic. I think we all should stay very positive, but the limited resources where, when the crews used to have their salads and their 3-course meals and their dessert at the end of the day, that's going to change. You know, from the wine served with lunch, all of that's going to change. We've seen some interesting challenges recently. We are also getting to the point that every morning I wake up, I kind of question myself. Everybody has a choice here at National not to come to work. That was first and foremost. We went down to lockdown about 10 days ago, and we make sure that there's no public in and out of the building. We're doing the distancing, that's for sure. But right now, to expose ourselves to this, the marinas have done a fantastic job. They now have allocated areas to where we can pull in. We used to go to the docks and have to put all of our staff delivering directly to these boats. And that is a huge risk for us. But all of that is changing, Bob, and it's changing fast. And our resources aren't running out, but they become limited. Engineering spares. Everybody wants to start projects. Manufacturers and shipyards are shutting down. Every morning's a new day. You see what's happening in Broward, Palm Beach, Miami. Every day is a new day. As fast as you come in the morning and we've got these giant wish lists from the yachts. And if we can accomplish 50% of what we're trying to do now, that's fantastic. And we're trying to get everybody understanding that this is not the norm. And the chefs are working with us. The captains are being fantastic. But it's incredible. It really is. We never, I don't think any of us signed up for this.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing. So in order to do the virtual boat show, one of the rules that we had was not just, hey, we're going to put up a bunch of boats and you click through photos, but it's got to be engaging. It has to be virtual, or it's just bullshit. It has to be an engaging, virtual reality experience with a video walkthrough or a virtual tour. We have two people that went out all last week, really the week before, and a little bit this week to film and to do virtual tours and all that kind of stuff. And our rule of thumb, because it's a little bit scary and it's totally voluntary, and we have things to do and rules where if they show up and there's a bunch of crew and it's a weird environment and they don't feel safe and the crew aren't acting responsibly, then I told them just get out and leave if you don't feel comfortable. What are you guys doing? Because part of the challenge with this, the social distancing is one thing if you're responsible yourself, but if you interact with one person that's not, then you're now vulnerable and exposed to all of their irresponsibilities. How are your buyers and how are the people delivering to the boat doing that? Like, is it the kind of a thing that I'm thinking of where like Amazon or Uber Eats is just setting it down in the middle of in front of my porch, they're walking away, somebody picks it up and they come? Are you guys doing things like that?
Yeah, very accurate. Yes, even the delivery drivers that are delivering in the mornings, nobody's permitted social distancing. Nobody's permitted in the building, and you have to be cautious. But it's one of those things where it's just amplifying itself. The biggest, when you say cautious, the one thing that I'd like to bring up is the concern that we have is our medical division. Several weeks ago, were contacted. And this company contacted us from Europe saying we have thousands of these coronavirus test kits in stock. First of all, the test kits, come to find out after our research, are from China. They are about 80-90% defective. There's suppliers locally that are selling a test kit, no FDA approval. And what you're doing is you're setting a false pretense out there that, imagine buying a test kit. First of all, it's illegal to sell them. But if somebody buys a test kit, and if somebody has a crew member that might, say, a chef,
right,
and he takes the chef and he goes, "Oh, you're negative, you're fine. Why don't you fly up to the owner's house and cook them meals and everything else?" Right. So these are the things that you can only protect yourself. You have to be smart. And our big concern is notifying people now is that if you're buying test kits out there and you're trusting that, please be extremely wary of something like that. You can do social distancing. Crew members, we're hearing all kinds of reports. We actually don't know what to believe these days. But for us, I mean, we have over 100 people here every day, and our certain departments are much, much busier than others, obviously, being provisions, and then our shipping and logistics company. Our shipping capabilities have come to a halt. The failures as far as how much we can accomplish, the cancellation of flights is incredible. When we have to ship down to the Caribbean, any of the islands, St. Vincent, Barbados, we have to apply for phytosanitaries. These normally could take 24 to 48 hours. Now they take in 3 to 5 days. So we just received an email from a vessel today saying that, listen, we potentially might pick up the owners next week. We're in this island and we want this entire order. Impossible. Right. It's impossible. And that's the understanding that we're having a very difficult time, but I think we're all understanding it real quick. It's a big
and that is one of the cool things about this. Almost everybody seems to have an attitude of understanding and seems to respect that. It's kind of like, I can't do that for you right now thing that happens in an environment where they normally wouldn't accept that. They sort of have to, and it's nice because almost everybody's being human about it, and is treating people with kindness as they're delivered that bad news of, hey, I'm really sorry, I can't deliver you that toilet paper today. It's just not an option. And I think a lot of it is rooted in the relationship you have with customers, where you've been serving them for 9 years successfully, and they know that you're the kind of person that's going to do whatever the hell it takes to get that across the goal line. And once in a while, when you can't, they at least know that you explored every single avenue to make it happen, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. We are doing bulk purchasing. We got 18,000 rolls of toilet paper in on Monday. So we are trying to look at bulk purchasing. Our proteins are in stock, from our chicken to our beef to our, the ground beef, all the bulk that should carry the yachts. And I think you've seen it like I've seen it, and the industry's noticing it. It is absolutely unbelievable how many boats are heading to South Florida. Yeah. And the task for all suppliers right now is pulling off the impossible. And pulling off the impossible is becoming an impossibility. Yeah. And our jobs have become, or have always been challenging, but this takes it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's an uncertain time that is being being in the thick of it, being led by guys like you. One last question, and this is a short one. I'm going to ask you about your wife. You guys work together. You're known as one of those couples in the industry that are just out there front and center in so many different ways. I love working with my wife. We don't get to work as much directly because she's her and I can't seem to stop having children. So she's right now managing that and leading that part. But what is it like? Like, how long have you guys actually worked together for? And is it as fun in real life as it looks like as I watch you guys on Mary's Facebook page?
You only live once, Bob. You know, it's been working together, as you know, that's not easy, period. And somehow through the thick and thin, it's amazing we've been able to, you keep it together. You have to. And, but it has been, without a doubt, it has a challenge. We take this place home with us, unfortunately. And for that itself, we've tried to distance ourselves from work and those things we just kind of plug through, and she fulfills a great position here.
By the way, until yesterday, when we were trying to get a headshot, I didn't know how much better she was digitally than you are. I mean, it's embarrassing for you. I mean, she is like on it, and I couldn't believe that you were that bad.
You're absolutely correct, 110%. I couldn't agree with you more there. But
that just shows you life does not happen without her, right?
Yeah, she's a piece of work. She's great. But Bob, listen, I want to say, thinking outside the box, you've taken this to a whole nother level. And buddy, thank you so much. Congratulations. And
thank you.
All the best to you, buddy. I look forward to it.
Very much. Good luck. We are rooting for you and every single person over there. What you guys are doing is making this, the guys on boats and captains and owners and crew, live and survive. It doesn't happen without what you guys are doing. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, Bob. All the best. Take care.
All right, Drew. Hi. How are you?
Good, Bob. How are you?
Very good. You are outside. You're the second person today that's been outside. The other one was Captain Lee. And from what I can tell, it looks like are you up by your pool? What is that, like an umbrella in the background?
This is poolside. I don't know if you can see it. We had to switch to the cell phone because the computer had too much background noise.
Wait, okay, so do you have a pool with a screen around it?
Yes.
Oh, those are my least favorite things.
It is, but I don't know if you can see it. Out there is a pond, and there are lots of insects in that pond. So,
okay, the screen
right off of that. The screen is kind of necessary.
Okay, gotcha. I am just teasing. You have a nice pool. For those of you guys that don't know Drew, he is a partner and founder of Luxury Law Group, which is a maritime, and more than that, but you guys do maritime law, yourself and Danielle Butler, along with others. You also have a financing part of your business, and you guys are in the thick of a lot of different parts of our industry. You and I work together quite a bit on a lot of different things, and thank you for joining us today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So give us a quick, you are a guy talking to a lot of different firms right now, a lot of different clients, a lot of different marinas and yacht owners. Give us an idea of what the general sense of those phone calls are like right now.
So it's a little bit crazy and a little bit hectic. The last 2 weeks have just been kind of a whirlwind. Kind of two sides of it. You've got there were a ton of charter contracts that were either canceled or people weren't sure if they were obligated to show up, if they could, if they were allowed to cancel. We have some owners that didn't want people to cancel, and a lot of moving parts to that. And so there was just a lot of phone calls and going back and forth with that. And then we have some new construction, unfortunately, that is now delayed. I wouldn't say there was as much panic over that as there was with the charter market, because it was very imminent. You had charters that were embarking, as we speak, or last Saturday, and people losing money right then. But also, like I said,
really quick. Sorry, just to hit the pause button on the charter side. A lot of people may not realize this. I mean, I'm sure you do, but a charter is essentially and usually a 1 week vacation on somebody else's yacht, just like you would rent out a house. And there's a contract that dictates breaking and canceling of contracts or rescheduling. This is a new thing, right? Because there's no clause that exists that says if a pandemic occurs and it's a global health crisis, here's what's going to happen contractually. Talk a little bit about what that's been like navigating some of those gray areas and what kind of the rule of thumb has been.
Sure. So every contract, whether it be for charter, and every charter contract, because most of you are using a standard form that's set out by an industry group like MEBA. And all of those contracts contain what's called a force majeure clause. And that just means that if force majeure being an act of God or other defined terms, if that happens, you can cancel your contract. Well, every contract has different terms. And the MEBA contract, which as far as I can see from my business is probably the most widely used charter contract, they had a lawyer give an opinion that their existing contract didn't cover just the disease itself. So the existence of the world pandemic did not necessarily trigger that force majeure clause. And so, but certain circumstances may, like if you shut down a port, or if a boat was quarantined and unable to move, or if government regulation prevented travel, it could have. And so it's really just basically